Hi, this is Sarah from Chariot.com, Facebook The Numbers Queen, and Instagram Chariot1111. Happy New Year. So this is your forecast for January 2023. Now, I will be reading some of it. Thanks for your understanding. So, wow, doesn't it feel like we haven't finished 2022? That's because that's what's happening. You're right. We are in a 2-month period of basically rehashing what happened in November and December, just to make sure we got those cosmic lessons. So it was an 8 universal month in November, 9 universal month in December, and we're repeating that 8-9 pattern right now. The numerology directly corresponds to astrology and a lot of other energy readings. So basically, 2023 officially kicks off probably closer to March. Now, if you enjoy this, please write to me below. I love words. I love numbers too. Numbers and words even better. So comment 888 lucky if you like this post. So what is 2023 all about? Firstly, do check out my forecast class. Half of it is pre-recorded, half of it is being run live on the 28th of January. I was planning to do it all in one go, but I needed to stop. It's that kind of year, and I'm all about authenticity. So 2023 adds to 7. This year is about healing your crown chakra, where you'd wear hats, a halo, a crown. This is the part of our body where we take leaps of faith instead of jumping to conclusions. It's where we're finished with a lot of the lessons of the material in the seen world, and we allow ourselves to be basically carried on the wings of angels and love into higher dimensions, higher awakenings. Does it sound fluffy? It's not. 7 energy is about testing everything in real time, in real life, and really finding out who was doing the work and who was just checking Facebook. It's going to be a year of a lot of reveals, that's for sure. So the 7 energy as well, if you think of the king, queen, or angel, it's very much about that sovereignty. So who or what do you worship? Church has a 7 energy, as I've said in some of my other videos. So does mother, empathy, and courage. It really is a bit of a risk putting your spiritual beliefs out there, but right now it's a greater risk keeping them inside, because that's how people can control you, through the fear of basically outing you. And also it means that you are unprotected, because when you reveal what you really stand for, people can gather, people can come to you, bring you resources, bring you support. I've always said it's actually safer in the light. Yes, your enemies can find you, but so can your allies. And if you're doing good work, your allies will outnumber your enemies by 1,000-fold, or shall we say 1,111-fold. Bit awkward there. So anyway, where were we? So January is this universal 8 months, because we add the 1 to the 7. So the 8 looks like an infinity loop. It's about breaking difficult patterns. So a lot of you may actually feel like you are at breaking point. Yesterday, I sent out some videos on burnout just to my friends. Maybe out of 20 of them, about 20 of them said they were burnt out. And that's because I personally have been experiencing that as well. So burnout, it's a lot around that solar plexus, feeling that you have a choice in life, feeling that you are allowed to play or take time off and not be judged or criticized for it. Let's face it, the world has come to a point where it's not easy to be free. We're really having to create it rather than just be given it. Look, that's exactly why I do what I do. I saw the writing on the wall a long time ago. I knew that if I didn't have my own business, not only would I break down, but I'd probably never have a family or a life, because I'm the type of person, when I do it completely. And when I devoted myself to, I suppose, just money and status, I just felt so hollow. I just knew I was here for something bigger. A lot of people will be having that kind of realization in 2023. So 7, they call it the 7-year itch, many people. maybe experiencing ups and downs, especially with their, like I said, their church, perhaps their spiritual or leaders, the people they consider inspiring, their parents, even their spouses. This is about learning from each other instead of just top down, looking for someone to tell you what to do. Other things to tune into for January, amazing for charity work or causes. Look, part of my business is very much predicated on philanthropy. I have a Patreon study group for the community, which I love. A lot of the money from what I make, it does go obviously towards the family, the local community, and also actual charities. It creates a broad base, a really strong root system. It's not just about the money, it's about that psychological income, that karma. All of these things are real. When the going gets tough, people remember those who've invested in the wider world. If you just focus on your own, I suppose, like self-glory, like those days are over. People can see straight through it, or they can check your Google reviews. Fortunately, I'm guessing most people on the call will be the opposite. You'll be the ones calling that out, which is why you're so awesome. Other things to notice, this is a good year for skilling yourself, educating yourself, finding some niches. Weird is power. It really is. It's a power. And you'll find people are surprisingly willing to pay for things that you didn't think were possible. Just remember, I've made a living for many years actually from reading palms, which I was told was completely unsustainable, but it's totally doable when you follow not only the guidance of your heart, but also like the needs of your people. And for me, I can still remember the first paid readings I did for, I think it was for $10. Just the look on people's faces of realizing that their bodies were telling them all about their chakras and their purpose and their kids and their relationships, and that they hadn't been aware of that. It was just this incredible joy, and I still get it every time I look at hands and numbers. Okay, so other things to expect. You might want to have a think back to what you started in 2017. That was the universal 1 year. It's the beginning of this global cycle. I know for me, I got married then, had my second child. There's a lot of things, and Kris and I have just started teaching and all those things, so do have a think back to that. It's kind of harvest time now. I'm calling 2023 the year of miracles and mayhem. Some people flinch at that, but sevens are known for bearing the whole truth, and it's better that you know, a little bit like for example, parenting. You can prepare yourself, you see, if I let you know there'll be some mayhem. But more than that, perhaps you can allow some grace and surrender in your plans for the year. It is, as you can see, 7 is like a detour, a year where things will go smoothly, and then there'll just be some higher destiny that steps in. You are basically co-creating with the wider world at this point if you're still on the planet. So let's look at some of the tarot. I'm using the Paulina Tarot, which is some very beautiful, easy to hold cards that I like. 7 is the Chariot. And so we can see this person has come a long way. They've kitted themselves out. There's a certain level of quality, respect, and confidence, which has come from 7 years of laboring away on their sole purpose. At this point, they're sitting pretty, but they know they have to go somewhere with all of that energy and all of that wisdom. Now, 7, I call the spiritual teacher or the eternal student. So don't be surprised if a lot of people ask for your help this year, but more in terms of guidance than like physically carrying them. The card for January is 8. You can see this woman with her hand in the mouth of the lion. What goes around comes around. It's also about inner strength. So that lion, the lion is obviously a predator, king of the jungle. When you can come to terms with the part of yourself that has that killer instinct, that does want to win, that does want to survive, you're going to be a much more balanced and trustworthy person. I have an article on empaths and psychopaths. So empath, it's like me throwing myself along a path. Psychopath, someone who psychs you off your path. In the end, we need to balance those two energies within ourselves. Now, I'm not talking about actual psychopaths. I'm talking about this idea of the kind of inner critic and inner artist. But until you really know where you become really ruthless and cold, that will control you. So take the time in January, February, especially with the current Mercury retrograde until the 18th of Jan, to really delve into what ticks you off. You know, where do you go into a bit of doom and gloom? And it's really important to be honest about this, not only with yourself, but with others, so that they can be more of a safety net. The biggest thing I'm learning at the moment from all my studies and healings that I'm getting is leaders ask for help. So just remember that, leaders ask for help. So other things to know are obviously typical Mercury retrograde, having to do a lot of things a couple of times, but also turbo psychic powers, amazingly helpful dreams and synchronicities. If you do find things are playing up, whether it's your technology or people who are supposed to be helping you, do try the Ho'oponopono prayer. Thank you. I love you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. When you say words, it does bring through the energy of everyone who's ever said them. So that's a pretty high-powered way to clear the space, and it works wonders. It's really worth looking into. So who's going to be in the spotlight in January 2023? Obviously, the whole year, it's totally about the sevens, whether you have a 7 life path, a 7 energy business, you see 777, all these things suggest you're here to be some kind of spiritual authority, and also someone who deals in wisdom. So you're in hot demand. But in January particularly, those with an 8 numerology or who see 888, for example, will also have a bit of a chance to be pumped up and shine. Dates to know. So we've passed this one, but 6th, 7th was the full moon. So we're now in a waning moon. 18th, Mercury goes direct. Just remember there is a shadow until early February, so some of you may still feel a little bit sensitive. 21st, 22nd of January, we have a new moon in Chinese New Year. So you can see my posts about Year of the Water Rabbit. The last time we had this as a planet was 1963. That was an incredible year. That was when 250,000 people marched on Washington for civil rights. It's when Martin Luther King Jr. made his speech. Interestingly, I Have a Dream was not even in there. He improv'd it on stage, just divine. So expect revolution. Hold on to your seats, bring the popcorn. In Chinese, we do consider this a very lucky year. There's a lot of opportunities for people, as I've sort of talked about today, who are willing to step out, who are willing to show their true beliefs, to gather a lot of resource and success. So a couple more tips before I wind up this short video. I really encourage you to increase the amount of nature in your life, whether you actually start living partly outside, eat your meals outside, get involved in nature-based causes. Nature is something that will always give you energy. And we're in a world where a lot of things will suck it. So it's just so important to tip the odds in your favor. I also encourage you to delve into your soul, like look into your life path, your personal year, your astrology, your tarot. All these languages allow you to contact yourself without a middle person, without always having to ask permission or pay high tariffs, so to speak. These things can only strengthen you. Just remember, if you just keep worshipping people or outward success, loneliness is the inevitable answer, because these things are like, I guess, something sugary. It's like good for a short time, and then over a series of lifetimes, you just know there's something you're missing out on. So a question for you as we wind up is, does your money come from suffering or self-expression? I've actually had to look at this in myself. I absolutely love doing what I do, but it's also true that I have changed over time, and I've always been very honest about that. So I super appreciate all of you who support me on my journey, especially as I pivot into teaching through the Patreon, comedy, and all these other things. I need to just find out, because one of my next purposes, which is my son, is knocking on the door. So a couple of other things to know is how you make a living is as important as your salary. Also, I'll be talking more about my 1111 World Changers group soon. Stay tuned for that. It's about spiritual business. I'll put everything else in links, because clearly I'm needed outside. And just the last thing you'll see the picture on my forecast this month. It's about pyramids, because 7 is about receiving help from above to achieve incredible feats. Angels exist. Well, I'm going to need to wind up because I have a very special friend trying to come in the door. But thank you so much again, and I look forward to providing you with another forecast soon. This has been Sarah from Chariot.com. See you.